Molweni, Mzansi Africa. It is yet another episode again of Sagas of Couplewood. It's been a long journey, and then we're still continuing. As you guys can see right here, Dipete Utawam Apa Mr. Tutuka, who will be introducing the topic that we're talking about today. Welcome back, as Wayne would say if he was here. All right, Molweni guys, thank you for having me here. It's my first time being on this platform, but the topic that we are delving on today is an absent daddy syndrome. Absent daddy syndrome is a term that is loosely used by people in our surroundings to depict into eyenzeka ebantwaneni that grow without their father present. So another issue that happens as a result of absent daddy syndrome is that of behavior, how you behave around people. Remember, emotions are something different. How you feel, they are more about the feelings. They are more internal, and then that are likely to elicit out and create a behavior thereafter. So when you don't know much, you are likely to take more risks that you don't look at as a risk, that you don't underline them as risks. For example, if you know, like your father being absent from your life means that there are other avenues of life that you are likely not to have archived in your brain. There are other aspects that, like behavioral aspects, that you're likely to explore just because you want to explore, and then you've got no guidance around them. So that's why I was talking about this issue of risks when you've had your parents, like an absent father. And it's according to experts, kids who grow up in such settings, they are likely not to abide by authority. They are likely to break the law. They are likely to be rebellious and I would sack kind of behavior because of their setting. Then they draw from themselves. They didn't have their take on life has not been nurtured in a very healthy way. So that's what I want to say. Moving beyond those of self-esteem and the feelings, let's package that and put that aside, and then come back to this one of behavior. Then it is said that they are likely to be very rebellious, and they don't take kindly to authorities, and they don't. So by virtue of saying that, it means that you don't really like to be told what to do, simply because you don't know, you haven't been groomed into it, you don't know the intentions, you think somebody's trying to bully you or something like that. As a result, you stand up for yourself. Those are some of the things. And it works both ways for a female and a male and a female. Sometimes a female may likely to be really defensive in a relationship, and because they think like, no, I'm myself, and therefore this is how I must do, without guidance, but just drawing from their own personal instincts to act upon on things that happen to them. It's one of those things that largely Tina South Africans, as we've said here on the podcast, if you've seen some of the episodes, lessons in a way, we've spoken about this, about our neighborhoods and how how our societies, we grow in a if when you can go and watch other episodes, you'll see we've been touching bits and pieces of this where a father we grow in households where the father is not there. If he is there emotionally, he's not there. yes, that kind of thing. So since we've been pushed towards urbanization, so it has imposed a whole lot of challenges, personality challenges sometimes and such. It's difficult for us African kids to speak much about our emotions. We always bottle things. We don't know how we feel. We hardly speak about how we feel. When you say it has challenges, within the like emotion, it involves some kind of emotional challenges, and then it gets me to think that a lot of us may not be able to express that. So what are emotional challenges that you're talking about? Can you define that? Maybe put it in a way that we are going to understand, to say, okay, even if I don't know what emotional difficulty is, therefore I know what you're trying to say, so that people can easily relate. So remember, we come from different backgrounds and different walks of life. So our understanding iyashiyana kwamantshontsho nguku, So yeah, kasibuyisele ke emotional difficulties. As the emotional difficulties point to the issues of failure to connect with people meaningfully, and not trusting good enough. That's what the books say, and then and such things. So there's an emotional aspect of it, and then of which it is very arguable for most of us African kids, because we don't really connect emotionally half the time, because most of the time our loyalty is spread over a very wide and far distance families, not those of the bloodlines. So sometimes book can have that kind of disparity with the reality of us as Black people. So so issues of anxiety, issues of depression could be part of this emotional roller coaster of people that have grown without daddies. And I can actually notice that because of the social impact and social interactions, especially when you have peers and your friends, they behave in a certain manner, because an individual makes the society, and also the society is made by individuals. So you cannot isolate that child who doesn't have a father from having friends who've got fathers, and then there may be some kind of impact that comes from those kind of social structures, and that's why it might eventually cause anxieties and depressions and such. So kuningi, and I don't want to get to issues of low self-esteem, because that's a whole another sector of which it might negate that definition that you gave of the term, because we don't want to make it psychological or a medical issue more than it is more of behavior. It's actually interesting that you would touch on points of difficulty in trust issues. So issues, yeah. How does one then get to know that they have difficulty in trust issues? And another aspect that comes before you answer that question is that another thing that comes is that, do we go around doing a self-diagnosis now, or maybe a test is other people that give us feedback? How does one get to know that they've got trust issues, as you say, as one of the emotional difficulties that result from a father from growing with a single parent, or maybe that father figure is not there? And part of my question is that, can a single parent raise a kid that is holistic? I personally think it's possible. You asked a series of questions there, but I want to start with this last one that you just asked now, of this the meaningful raising of a child from just one parent. You're spot on, because some people may argue that some people are raised by just mothers. They come out to be good people, good partners to other people.
Yeah.
And some people are raised by both parents, and then they become bad partners to their parents. So it also depends on the animator and on the person inside this animation, this acting individual, this acting puppet. There's something more. There's spiritual level and groundedness of the person and all sorts of things that can be blamed. If you can go to one of these seers who use tarot cards, they will blame it on the star signs. If you go to a sangoma, they will blame it on spirits or on ancestors and all sorts of things. If you go maybe to somebody who's a Christian, they may blame it on maybe the path that person may have chosen, or maybe it's called demonic or possession by dark entities and such. But the major thing is that what I'm trying to say is a child's willingness to grow up into a holistic adult is dependent on the child. The parents can do so much. They can, whether your father or your mother is there, irrespective, your willingness to take up that thing. Remember, even if you have a garden, it doesn't matter how much watering you can do. It depends on the nutrients, on how fertile the soil is, whether the plants will grow. So same thing with the child. When the parents they raise a child will grow to do some of the things that they've been raised to do, but they will have a personal filter that they use. So that's my answer to that one. So it is highly possible, as you're saying, that a holistic adult can be raised in any kind of settings, even an orphan. Okay. You hear people that saying, I was an orphan, I grew up from here, but I grew up to be an adult because I had chosen for myself. So the spirit or the person behind the animation maybe has taken over. I don't know. Maybe it's beyond my comprehension, that one. It's beyond the scope of what we want to talk about now. Another question that you asked earlier before this one was about the self-diagnosis. Do we self-diagnose whether that I'm emotionally unavailable or emotionally flawed? Well, you get feedback all over. Maybe sometimes you see by your inability to sustain a long-lasting relationship that people just leave you. Sometimes there's nothing wrong with you. There's something wrong is with the other people, which is always the case. With all of us, it's always the other person that is wrong. That's what I always happens. So that's my take on your questions, on that series of questions. Yeah, it is. Yeah, going back to that first one of the emotions that you spoke about. Yes, as African kids, we are not emotionally attuned or capacity of an ability to be sensitive to emotions is not very fine-tuned, not very tuned up. But with today's kids and with AMA 2000 and everybody who knows things about gaslighting, manipulation and such, then we are raised, our awareness has been raised to these kinds of things. So we know better than we used to know. That's my take on it. So yeah, that's the sector of that emotional part. And then maybe we can touch more things around self-esteem and such, that it may impact on your self-esteem, that you grew up in such a setting and not that kind of setting, and then which could potentially impact how you love in the future. Sometimes it may charge you up to want to do the opposite. Sometimes it may devastate you and make you this very meek person that does not want to take chances because of that low self-esteem. It's funny how you would mention in the low self-esteem. So, by virtue of you saying that, you are trying to say that self-esteem is built by having both your parents around there. So, can you tell us more about that aspect of low self-esteem? Well, it's deeper than just me having to explain it, because self-esteem goes a long way. It's part of an emotional roller coaster that runs as a result of your surety about certainty about future and certainty about certain aspects of your life. Then how do you then explain that it might lead to issues of you being aloof or being alone or isolation? You mentioned in the Obangaba, okay, that low self-esteem may result into other things such as anxiety and depression. Then it doesn't justify how this happens. So if we are uprooting a problem, so I think we might need to also highlight how the nitty-gritties of how it happens, so that we don't only highlight it and probe into a problem and then without probing into a solution. You know what I'm saying? Okay, but so that we don't make our topic to be to elongate it longer than it's supposed to be. I hear what you're saying. So can we go to other aspects? Maybe let's package this one of low self-esteem, of emotional intelligence and low self-esteem as you've mentioned it. Maybe as we go along, it will gel into other things. Or maybe some of the questions I may have asked will become clearer, or maybe some if you guys have questions, some of your questions may be answered as we go along, so that we don't prolong the topic, we don't delve deep, stay so deep on these emotional difficulties, of which now I'm not able to really understand. I don't think I'm not satisfied with the answer. No. I'm not saying let's argue about it, but I'm just highlighting it. Maybe the words are new that are explaining this thing that you're explaining to me. Okay, moving right along. Okay, for me personally, now what I think when I think about this absent daddy syndrome is that okay, we have grown to have our own kind of resilience. The way I am right now, as a man who grew up without a father, there needs to be some kind of holisticness that I get satisfied with. This is a whole me. I cannot go on in life thinking that my life is doomed. And my father was in there and be resentful and be hateful and think that I cannot be whole. This is my 2 cents that I'm trying to bring out, that I can be a full grown man. I said to Wayne in that last episode that I spoke about, I referenced to something that I saw online, that it's funny that a girl, somebody was saying on these social media, it's funny how you can be told by that you're not a man enough by a girl who grew up without her father. there's a whole lot. I don't want us to unpack that one. That one is for you guys to ruminate and just. I know that you netizens, you guys can delve into that one and think of other aspects that we didn't think of here in this podcast with Mr. Tutuka here. So what I'm trying to say is that we shouldn't be judging ourselves as if we are not adequate simply because of what we think is the missing piece in our lives. That's my take. I don't know. Yeah. No. I agree. I totally agree. So I think a wholeness of a human being, or maybe if we are holistic, it's an individual declaration that you make for yourself to yourself. So I don't want us to put our benchmarks or our yardsticks based on other people. Okay, I get the part of behavior, because sometimes you are with just one parent and then you establish your own routine around things, and therefore it's easier to dodge some things when you only have one parent. So maybe the behavioral issues, I can give merit to it, that maybe a boy is going to be rebellious, he's going to be cheeky at home, he wants to act up as if he's the father himself. And the other aspect of picking things from the street, because your father is not around, then you are likely to emulate. You are emulating something that you don't know. You are sucking it from the thin air, or maybe picking it from TV. Do people pick behaviors from TV or something? They look at a man there and see, that guy is a man, therefore I need to act like him, without having seen your own personal father, or a father figure at your household. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So it's a bit of a difficult one. And I do want us to tie, yes, we are talking about a person now without a father, but because this is the sagas of couplehood, we need to tie this and say, how does this tie into relationship at some point? I'm not saying let's do it now, but as you are picking some of the elements, such as behavior, and then being rebellious, especially when you get to the stage of being teen. And then identity. I know that it's not difficult. It's difficult for a man, for example, to raise a daughter without their mother. And then what happens when the child gets into the stages? They are having their first periods. They are starting to see things, whereas a mother would quickly pick those things because they have lived. They know how the body changes. They know how the behavior. I've said this before, that the behavior patterns of men and women are different, and men know how men think because they come from the same planet Mars. Women know how other women think. They come from the same planet Venus. Yeah. So that's my 2 cents. I don't know if I've nailed some of the things in terms of behavior that you want to. Do you want to say more around that one? No, I don't really want to say much, but you've nailed most of the points. A human being is a very complex animal. It's not like a lion's going to go and hunt for a deer and just kill it, eat it, go and feed its pride, and then go sleep, and then it's gonna wake tomorrow. A human being has got emotions, has got behavior, has got things, has got intelligence, has got psychological issues going on and such. Okay. So, in terms of that behavior exactly, because we're talking about sagas of couplehood, are you able to notice you're dating? Let's say you're dating a girl, and then you can notice, good to know, she grew up without a father. It's very difficult to notice, and it is very difficult to notice. Easy to notice, difficult to notice. Sorry, that's what I'm trying to say. And those that have grown with that have a different kind of behavior from you, they will quickly notice. But those who live amongst the same kind of setting, who grew up in the same way, they may think that it's just normal behavior. That's why I'm trying to say that it's difficult. It depends on where you come from in these two camps. One of the camps is of, let me just make an example. An example is that of yeah. I mean, when we went to varsity, you could easily see who went to public school. I know that this this may be a sensitive one, but yeah, it was quite noticeable. And then sometimes by fashion, sometimes by your peers, by who you want to associate with, by your behavior sometimes. And then people group themselves according to where they come from, and chances are the kind of friends that you are likely to make are the ones that resonate more with your behavior. And some people may like you too ghetto for me and stuff. And some people like, yeah, I like her. She's hardcore and stuff. And yeah, such things. So to answer your question is that people can notice that way that okay, this sometimes they may not notice that you have an absent daddy syndrome, but it might take them time to notice that that's where that behavior comes from. But they will pick the difference, especially if they don't come from the same kind of setting, or maybe somebody who has overcame this kind of thing of issue, to say that okay, I used to behave like that, I used to be like that, and then, or maybe I was aware that this is how I am, and then I found a way of turning 360 degrees my life around, to change, to say, you know what, I don't want my setting or where I come from to define the kind of person that I am. And then some people changed. So there's that aspect. Just to answer you, if you're not answered, I'm not gonna bother more and trying to dwell on it. Just think about it. Another aspect of down the line, the aspect of all of this, and emotions, yes, behavior. Now it's gonna come down to your identity, because if your parent, your father figure is not there, some cultures they are so leaning towards the paternity side of things, and then if your your father figure is not around, then it means that a missing bit of what your culture identifies with is not there. And then that's why you find a whole lot of us Xhosa people, they when they get to their teens and they become young adults, they go around looking for their missing parent, they will look for their father, and then thinks that okay, the only time that my life is going to be fine or maybe turned around is when my father is around, or maybe to get blessings. I remember Kumbulikaya, one girl was looking for, there was an episode where a girl was about to get married, but she needed blessings from her father, who didn't grow up with her. And yeah, so Kumbulikaya had to go and find the father somewhere in the outskirts of a Gauteng. The guy was coming from Eastern Cape, all for the for the father to say, hi, xa uba wamkela ntoni, umntana embuza wathi, hayi, ndandithakathwa ngumamakho, mntana mamakho uyathakatha, stuff, such things. So you see, people have got these missing things. We spoke about this earlier on, just to explain, Uchi. No, you can't. I think you mentioned this. You don't have to feel less of a whole simply because your life path has gone in a certain way. Maybe you had different sort of challenges in order to fulfill your spiritual journey here on earth. Who knows? So coming to this issue, deeper into this issue of identity, and then one does not want to be confused, especially when you are growing up. You're trying to form who you are. You're trying to set grounding, and you are going to have your own kids, and then you want them to point them towards the proper lineage of where you come from, and so that they can shape where they are going. So that's just my 2 cents around that one. So it narrows down to your identity at the end of the day, and then so that there will be no ambiguity when you get into a relationship. Somebody said to me this one time, I have absent daddy issues. I don't know what that means. Or yeah, can you tell us more about that one, if you enlighten us on that? Well, absent daddy issues. I think now a whole lot of people, they pick terms from the internet, and then they attach to the things that happen to their lives. And there's danger to this. And because sometimes, that's why I was asking about diagnosis earlier on, whether a person can personally diagnose, or it was you who was asking that. Yeah, we self-diagnose based on the internet, and then we take terms and we attach them to our shoulders, and then we live by these things. Oh my God, oh poor me, this is me, this is how I'm supposed to be. I have a poor daddy syndrome, da 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 da. Break it with yourself before you go and break it with your cycle. You think now you've got a generational cycle, but there's a cycle that you've created within yourself of going around believing anything that goes on around. When you say identity issues, where, like, especially when it comes to role playing, if you've grown with just your mother, and this, especially if you are a girl, and then you grow with just your mother, and then you get to that stage where you need to start dating and courtship and such. Now, there are some roles that you might be treading into a territory that you are not familiar with, whereas you have to act with a different kind of gender. Let me make an example for myself. If say, for example, I grew up with my father, and then in the household we do things in a certain way simply because it's only men that are in the house. We don't leave the toilet seat, or anyway, the toilet seat is like the manners maybe within the bathroom. They are different from the manners that women may likely to assume. So if I'm likely to, when I start dating, or maybe when I start seeing somebody else of the opposite sex, then they might find me rough around the edges because I act weird, especially if they come from some kind of nuclear family that has got both their parents, the father and mother, present. Then they know what to expect from a man, and there comes a man who doesn't know what to expect from a woman, and whose behavior is animalistic and rough. So yeah, that I get that role play and everything. And also it may lead to the issues such that you mentioned of maybe family dynamics. Then the dynamics around maybe it ties back to the role playing, the dynamics of how the family structure, how each one completes the family. Especially if you were like, okay, my father is everything, or my mother is everything, and therefore you look up to them, you see up to them. There will come a time where the primary parent that you grow up with has got limits. If you just grew up with your mother's got limits, gonna have limits in some maybe cultural aspects. Whereas without a father, you can't know those things. You understand? I don't know with other cultures, but especially Emaxhoseni and such. Imagine a girl now growing with a man, and now the IMZ, then she has to behave like a woman. That it's gonna be very difficult to behave in a manner that may be acceptable there, because akakhange afumane the training so that it becomes second nature. Some of the things that will happen there. I'm not talking about. I know people may lash back to say that no, you want to oppress women, da 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 da. But there are certain relational things that women need to relate with other women, not necessarily chores and who does what in the household. No, not that. Family structures may never be balanced anymore in the traditional manner of having a balanced family. So I think we might need to go back to the drawing board and redesign what a family structure is. Right now we have LGBTQRZW, whereas two husbands, I don't know if it's two husbands, can go and adopt a child, and then that child grow up in that setting. And sometimes you have two mothers, and so those structures that we thought were balanced the ground has been shaken there. So we cannot eat our cake and still have it in a way. So this balance that we're looking for, we are not going to find. So let's try to find a new balance now. Not the shoes, but but another way of saying, okay, how can we holistically raise conscious adults under the circumstances? That could potentially be a challenge, especially in a relationship, and when a person comes there. It's funny now that we haven't mentioned anything. One of these buzzwords that gets used of generational cycles. You need to break a certain generational cycle, meaning that when, let's say, if you were growing up with just a single parent, or maybe your parent never got to marry, now you are eager to break that cycle so that your kids don't follow in the same pattern, because now you have an anxiety, your retrospective issues now have an impact on your future issues that you want to solve. You want your kids to grow in a way that you didn't grow up, which is fair enough, and it is a sense of growth. But I think at times we work so hard to want to break our backs, as opposed to accepting the way of life, and break our backs trying to change the way of life simply because it's deemed to be negative. We are, at this day and age, we are growing up with a whole lot of independence. Women want to be independent and blah, blah, blah. And the marriage is no longer work. There's too many divorces out there. Some people swear that to never marry because of various reasons. And also the institution of marriage itself has been breached by mafias, by people who are mafias, who want to get in there for their own ulterior motives. Grown future husbands. We've grown people that will just eventually be in relationships and then feel it easy that no, if you're fucking with me, therefore futak, I'll find someone else, and then they go off and find someone else, and all of such. And people now, they find it difficult to hold on to long-term relationships. And there are painful things that people say on the internet, on social media, like on Facebook. But uhlala nomuntu 4 years yonke in a relationship, angakuchati waste ixesha lakho, blah blah blah. I don't understand the aspect of the wasting of time. What's your take on that one? So the thing about wasting of time is that it jongeka one-sided, Lendolin, all the time. I'm just gonna say it like it is. I'm sorry, guys. There's a tendency of thinking that a woman, when they are having sex with a man, they are rendering a service to the man. It's forgotten that this is a two-way street. Everybody's benefiting here, maybe is enjoying. And then another aspect to that is that the amount of time you spent as a guy in that relationship is the same as the amount of time that lady has spent there. But because of our roles in the society, a man is supposed to make the move to solidify things or to officialize things with the woman. And then socially, that's how things should be. On the contrary of this, because of the liberation and everything of women empowerment and everything, that's the only thing that empowerment is not being encouraged. Why cannot women be empowered to own even that space of saying, I wasted that man's time. I wasted his 4 years. He did not waste mine. Okanye, we wasted each other's 4 years. Because structurally things have changed, things have turned, tables have turned. And now you cannot now expect the same. On certain aspects, a man must show that he is a man. But on certain aspects, he's oppressing me if he's trying to show that he's a man. So you can now say, okay, I spent 4 years in that relationship. He hasn't made a move in terms of proposing to me or blah, blah, blah. Or maybe I've been wearing this engagement ring for the past 2 years. Da, 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 da. Nothing's happening. He's wasting my time. So you are trying to disempower yourself by saying that, because if we are saying you are in this DNA, in this day and age, where women take ownership of things, also that aspect of things you can take ownership of, not just by complaining on social media and going out there and ridiculing the guy and deeming him useless, and play victim. Sometimes it's your own doing that caused maybe for the guy to maybe lose interest, to see how less serious you are about him or whatever the case. And I'm in the wrong gender to be saying this thing, but somebody must say it because the other gender is not willing to say it. So that's my take on that on that aspect of the wasting of of my time. You wasted my time, you played with my time. I spent so many years. I don't think it's about the many years. Some people meet each other and marry within 3 months. Some people don't, for various reasons. And then maybe we have not pressed the right buttons wherever they need to be pressed. No, you got a point. This, I think urbanization also has not made our lives to be very easy. Because we are so urban now, we are adjusting to the urban culture, we are adjusting to urban issues, urban problems, and of which largely of them propel us to lean towards upanda and finance and economics. All of these things, they impact us. There's this there, there's that there, there's no money there, there's no jobs there, there's crime there. All of these things have been byproducts of urbanization. And now another byproduct is the one that we are just talking about of this inability to form the same kind of family cult structures and family bonds like in the olden days. In the olden days, the settings were different. People had rural places and they lived a different kind of life than what we live now. We live a life of you sending your avatar out there through internet, doing things and doing other things somewhere out there, and then which don't promote the very same socialization, which becomes a problem. So we are adding to the problem of that inability to socialize from social structure as a result of a family structure that is not balanced. That could could be true because there's something that according at one of the what's that hermetic principle says all is mental. So that thing of what you think most about, or what your thoughts create. So in a nutshell. So yeah, I think that could be, there could be some merit to what you're saying. But what I want to, the next aspect that I want to talk about is that of socializing. How you socialize in, I think a household is a nucleus of a community, and then how that nucleus is structured will eventually have an impact on the community. Like I said earlier on, an individual makes the society, and the society is made by an individual. So I think the behavior of people that have grown with or without fathers, or maybe your social structure at home, will mark the bigger social structure in your community, how you behave, and your fears and your anxieties will be rubbed in by you interacting with other people. So there's that other social aspect of not having a father around and whatnot. Some people may experience bullying elsewhere because of those that are surrounding their communities that know that there's no father figure and stuff. And kids may be subjected to mockery over that. And I know how sometimes our kids, if you've ever went to your, make a surprise visit to your school kids as a father, and then see what's going to happen when they see you in a setting where they are not expecting to see you. Just randomly, boom, so and so, orange or something, and look at the pride of your child and see how they look at other kids. Immediately they look at you, see you, and be happy for you. They will look at other kids. That, do they see what's happening to me? Do they see an elongation of who I am? Kind of vibe. But I'm not sure. It's weird, that kind, but there's a social aspect to this, that a bigger value into this that we may not be aware of, or maybe on an energetic level, we are not energetically attuned to it. But there's something that happens with just your presence around your kids. That is just a testimony. If you go outside of the setting of where you normally, if they see you at home all of the time, but now they see you in the ground field where they play soccer, all of a sudden they see, there's my father. Their energy changes. They're like, the whole of me is here, kind of vibe. So there is a bigger impact in the society that this little thing that is in the household has within the kids' orbiting structures. In the future, a family that's got a father and a mother is just going to be something of a phenomenon. Okay, so okay, just to contextualize it, to sorry, I don't want us to before so that we don't make our topic to be very long. I think to be very long. When you say the way you put it now is just that now I want us to round it into relationships, the impacts into the relationship, because I personally think that the major impact of an absent daddy syndrome is the one where like one doesn't really know much in terms of their role in the behavior, and then maybe other challenges, especially if you become at an age of being conscious that your father is not there. You constantly revert to yourself as if you are born with without one of your crutches that you need to have. And then also the societal reminders and the reminders around us, they keep reminding you, and therefore you are likely to internalize that thing. That internalization will have an impact when you are starting to date now. And then when you start to date, hey, my father was not there, and therefore I do not want to date a man that is likely and get pregnant, and therefore the child is not there. Sorry, the father is not there. So these are the things that are likely to happen as a result of that. So men are doing the most damage, have done the most damage in the past. And right now, we have men who are really finding their own way and defining their own way of what it means to be a man in a household. Yeah. And how then, never mind being a father, just the lover to the person that they are in a relationship with, it becomes impacted by all of this. So I don't want us to dwell on this one. I'm sure people have heard some of the things that we've spoken about. It's just that we can take this topic further, but now we just wanted to ignite the fire on this one. Yeah. To ignite the fire, once it starts to burn, we can increase the fire and see how we can maybe in the future speak about this very same topic. And maybe with not the two of us, men, I mean, yeah. And then maybe with a perspective from ladies also. And then maybe some people may come and tell and share with us, okay, this was the impact to me. This is that, da. And we do not also want to discredit the women that have raised good men out there who vowed to themselves, good, you know what, and I'll go out of my way and know how to treat a lady. Yeah. Once I'll be with someone. And I do not want to be with umntana bantu ndimithise ugqoka nimshiye. We are not blindfolded from the problems also that happen as a result of things such as pregnancy, and all of that, challenges and mula challenges. Yeah, you see, when you mention money is one of the biggest. I think it's on top of the things now that make or break things in terms of our society. In relationships, finance must be on point. Family-wise, finance must be on point. For your kids' future, finance must be on point. So even also on this one, you are closing it nicely when you even mention that aspect of an impact of finance. So big up to that. I agree with that, even though we may not have dwelt much on it or maybe spoken much about it. I remember earlier on you did mention something like this, but it's a big aspect now, because when your other parent is not there, your father is not there, therefore you always keep thinking that things could have been this way. It's the other road that you didn't travel, and then you think that it may not be as thorny as the one that you're traveling on. All right. No, all good. Masiqophele zozo man. Enkosini kakhulu bafowethu. Let's this is a bigger topic than the two of us, and we try to digest it as much as we could and to uveza nje just izinto ezithile. And then the rest of the things, it's you guys on the comments. And then maybe if you guys want us to do another part of this very same one, yeah, speak to us. We'll do it. Maybe you come to the studio, we sit on it and delve on it, and maybe who knows what's going to come out. Because one way or another, we want to shape the future to be differently from what it used to be, and possibly change it for the better. Mm-hmm. Thank you guys for watching us, Suckers of Couplewood. Yebo. Peace. Sharp.